moment when it says go and you're not quite sure if we've started yet. Hello and welcome back to Shifting Left on LinkedIn Live. Today's question, where do you find the intersection of something that goes 200 miles per hour or something that literally demands quiet from the crowd or you'll get kicked out, and then also keeps your socks safe? Really? That all comes together? Stick around, friends, and we will address that very question. Okay, let's talk about shift left for a second. If you were not with us last time, shift left is a military term for the moment before a bomb explodes, as opposed to right of boom, which is after. And this is based on a left to right timeline, which is popularized by Washington Post writer Rick Atkinson. At its core, boom or bang is an unwanted bad event for the defender, the initial contact from the defender. And left of boom is the set of events that occur in the timeline before the boom. Right of boom is a set of events that follows. And for that, we thank Tim Malcolm Vetter. Now, why are we talking about all of this? Well, obviously, this is brought to you by Shift Left. So that is why we are really happy to welcome you back to Shifting Left on LinkedIn Live. Really excited. We have Manish Gupta, who is really going to be kind of the host of this thing. I'm really just here to be the line judge, if nothing else. But he is the CEO, co-founder, and a pretty good golfer. Today's guest, super excited about this for lots of reasons, which we will get to. Tony Buffomante, who is the senior vice president at Wipro Limited, and in previous lives was a principal at KPMG. Maybe you've heard of them. But how about this? Our guy has been racing carts, cars, and offshore power boats for over 30 years, and his highlights include championships in the Star Formula Mazda, SCCA runoffs, kind of hard to say, NASA's Super Touring, probably not that NASA, and Factory 5 Challenge Series. Our guy goes fast. Manish focuses on the things that require slow and focus, but guess what? It kind of has something in common. So Tony, Manish, welcome to Shifting Left on LinkedIn Live.
Thanks, Matt. Awesome to be here.
Great to be with you, and love the history lesson right out of the gate. I appreciate that very much. I was taking some notes there.
Pretty sure you remember some of this stuff, unless you were going too fast and you couldn't remember any of that. It's my job to talk as fast as you go, or to be as focused as Manish is when he is on the golf course. Before we get to the big news, with that type of open, doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Tell me about it and tell all of us about it. And by the way, hello, everybody. Please bring in your questions because we want to be taking this stuff live. You're going to be able to watch it after we record. But if you've got questions while this is happening, please bring them in because we will get to them as quickly as we can. Back to the point, though. When we talk about the intersection of things that seem as diverse as racing, golf, and cybersecurity, where does that all come together? This isn't just marketing. Like, there are unifying things in the approach to those things, especially for both of you.
Yeah, I think the common theme across all of these things is speed and accuracy. Golf, perhaps the best way to explain it is putting. Putting is 50% of golf, and speed is super important to make sure that the ball is sort of reaching the cup and not beyond that. And of course, precision is important because you clearly need to know where the slope is and sort of read that. And I think I find the same thing to be very important in sort of shift left notion of cybersecurity, which is we gotta move it left, like your description at the top as to left of the boom, right of the boom. I think I kind of got that, but yeah, shifting security left, which is sort of inherently reduce risk. It is about speed, analyzing it quickly, but also analyzing it precisely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd say first off, in auto racing, you definitely do not want the boom. That's number one. No boom is key. But I like the word you use, Manish, there, precision. I mean, it's similar types of thing in auto racing. I mean, you're talking about highly competitive sport where thousands of a second matter, right? And so, and when I see these auto races on TV, and like any other fan, certainly you're looking at the driver in a car and you're thinking this is a very solo individual sport. Behind the scenes there, tremendous amount of teamwork, tremendous amount of innovation, all kinds of individuals come together to make this right. And I think when I think about that innovation, when I think about collaboration, I immediately translate those types of things into what we're doing and battling every single day from a cyber perspective.
So I'm already going to, I think I'm breaking the record for the fastest that we've ever broken from what we had scripted for this stuff. But this is for both of you. Tony, for your point about collaboration, you both run cybersecurity companies that do really important things. And it's not like it's the two of you that are down there, you're writing the code, then you're building the software, you're implementing the system. When you talk about collaboration, everybody's like, oh, we're a big team and we want to do these things. But when it comes to something that is at the level of securing it literally from the time you start mixing the ingredients, like how many people have to be involved in this to make this work? The notion of it takes a village. America now has fallen in love with F1 because of the Netflix series. Tony, you've been racing forever. Manish, America's been in love with golf forever. So, but it's not just the driver. It's not just the golfer that's out there. How do you get that many people involved in a way that isn't just chaos and where you can actually get the precision to make these things happen?
Yeah, I tell you, for me, I mean, this is, it's very much about relationships, and it's very much about making sure that you have a common goal, right? A common good. In racing, it's super interesting. It's super easy. I mean, it's whoever gets the checker flag first. Everybody knows what it means to win a race, right? A lot of times we don't always know what it means to win in our business. Is it winning a new project, right? Is it increased customer satisfaction? Is it bringing something to market faster, better, cheaper, that type of thing? These are all small little victories, small little wins. But when I think about that bringing that team together, I think a lot, quite frankly, around the security community and the development community, which has been, at times at odds with each other, right? And so when I think about collaboration, I think about how those two groups can work together in a more seamless manner, very similar to varying expertise that you see on a racing team. That's really when I think the thing comes together well, when you get different capabilities, different skill sets, common goal, right? To bring something to market faster in this case and make sure it's done with quality. I mean, to me, that's a recipe for success.
Yeah, in golf, I guess it's much more of an individual sport than many others are. But yeah, collaboration with your coach, making sure that you're talking to people who are helping you with your clubs, all of that is important, but sort of bringing that to cybersecurity, it is hugely important. What you cannot shift left. You cannot shift left unless you have established collaboration between developers and application security. This is why there has been this notion of DevSecOps we've been talking about for years, but it has been a mirage for the most part. DevOps has become real. DevOps came first, which is sort of development operations working together to deploy very quickly. Google and look for DevOps metrics, and you will find tons of things. Speed of deployment, number of bugs found in the production environment, et cetera, et cetera. But DevSecOps has been a mirage because it is the challenge here is to have two people, application security and developers, collaborate, and they have very different goals. They're measured by every company out there differently. Application security is measured on the reduction of risk, and developers are measured on delivering software on time. And these two things, almost when you think about it, like I want to add more stuff, i.e. do more security, and I want to develop quickly. They work against each other. But I think this is where I guess my shameless plug comes in a little bit earlier in this conversation than planned, Matt. But we published our AppSec report a couple of weeks ago, and as we've chatted about that report in the past, we talk about how our customers are fixing 76% of vulnerabilities in less than 12 days, and that is, to me, the speed, the 12 days, the app precision, which allows people to fix. And what we find is when we double click in our customer environments where customers are actually doing this, you realize that with the right set of technology, in this particular case, shift left, developers and application security do start to collaborate. I mean, my favorite statement from one of my customers is, Manish, shift left is the only product that both my developers and AppSec can agree on. To me, that is collaboration. That is DevSecOps.
Well, and speaking of collaboration, and this is where I'm going to kind of clear out of the way, because Manish, I feel like this is much more of a conversation between you and Tony. I will play the role of the audience here, but you got something pretty exciting to announce. Speaking of collaboration between ShiftLeft and Wipro, I'm out of the way. Manish, the floor
Tony.
is yours. How about that?
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, look, super awesome news. We announced recently that we've raised 29 million in the latest round of financing, and we are hugely excited about getting Wipro and Tony to participate in this round. So now Wipro is an investor in ShiftLeft, and we can't wait to collaborate. Of course, everyone knows of Wipro, but before we talk a little bit more about why we decided to sort of join forces in this manner, let me ask Tony to give his perspective on this investment.
Yeah, thanks, Manish. I mean, we're equally as excited. I mean, when I think about everything you just talked about, between the collaboration between the development community and the security community, and a technology, that helps bridge that gap. I mean, when we look at this from an advisory, an implementation, and a managed services perspective, which all of the 9,200 Wipro cybersecurists are thinking about each and every day, it's how do we build a program around this, right? There's an education component to this, right? There's processes, there's procedures, there's KPIs, you mentioned all of this. And what we have seen in the past is that the technology solutions to augment these programs or processes have fallen down in some way, shape, or form. Could have been false positives, could have been just how complicated they were to use, right? Could have been, inability to look at, all the common components in addition with the testing. And when we looked, collectively, our technical teams, looked at, the options in the marketplace, and we looked at everything ShiftLeft was doing. We were incredibly impressed. We can see how not only we can help clients implement these programs, but can also build it into our own cyber defense centers and our own managed services capabilities. It ended up being a no-brainer for us, and I'm just really excited to get launched here and get going.
Yeah, and it's good. The good thing is we already have one joint customers, even though this partnership is starting more recently. So we have some proof points to build upon. And I think the other part that I would think, Tony, which makes this, now as being a great time, is because I see that the macroeconomic environment, we all see what the stock market is doing, and the companies are going to have to become more focused on what they specifically do, number one. Number two, we know that application security is a space where there's a significant dearth of talent. I think both of these is going to make companies to focus on what they do and get external help for things, a skill set which is as demanding as AppSec. And when we deploy in many of our customer environments, we find that typically the ratio between AppSec and developers can be as high as 1:400. And so the team that you've built, the expertise that you've built over the years in your company is going to be very instrumental in moving the needle for so many of these companies.
Yeah, I think, well, there's certainly that portion of it. But I mean, when I look at this from a client's perspective, point you're making about the economic environment is spot on. I mean, it used to be rework was a bit of a nuisance and annoyance. It just can't happen today. I mean, you cannot spend the extra dollars and resources to go fix all this stuff after the fact. I mean, you cannot be opening up regular legal, regulatory, compliance risk, or just general brand and operational risk because we missed something as an industry in the development cycle. It just can't happen. And so the reduction in costs, reduction in vulnerabilities, increase in compliance. I mean, organizations absolutely are trying to transform their operations, right? They're trying to get closer to the customer. Right? They're trying to do more self-service. They're trying to make sure that the customers have the right access to the right things in the right ways in a frictionless experience. That's all built on these applications that are being developed. And so I just think, for the point of the maturity curve that most organizations are on right now, the the competitiveness, getting back to the racing theme, the competitiveness that they're facing in the market for the products and solutions and the customer relationship and trust that they're going after. I mean, this is it's an absolute imperative, I think, for companies to look at this program holistically and make sure that they've got the right people components, the right processes, and of course the tech to support it all.
So I'm going to jump in here as the voice of the crowd, and I want to make a comment. And Manish, you know that I always go to food for my comps on this. The partnership, the collaboration between ShiftLeft and Wipro on this. What I'm thinking is it's like when a renowned chef or baker or restaurant announces that they are now partnering with a new brand of flour, and it's the best flour in the world, but it's deep dive stuff where you're like, man, I already really like their pastries. I really liked all their pizza. What does this mean? Because it feels that ShiftLeft is not some end user feels or understands the impact. So that's what I'm curious about, to make sure people understand why this is a big deal. When a company like ShiftLeft comes in, the old BASF, we don't make the cake, we make it better kind of thing. Like, is that right? Am I interpreting this partnership the right way for the impact that it will have on users around the world?
Yeah, great question, Matt. I think both me and Tony got carried away. So let's get back to the basics a little bit about why is this partnership important. It goes back to what I said earlier, which is, look, business is the ultimate competition. Every company out there has competitors. And what are they trying to do? At the end of the day, they're trying to increase revenue relative to their competitors. And how do they increase revenue in a world where everything is driven by software? It is increasingly by providing feature functionality to your end customers faster, hence the speed part. But unfortunately, there is also a bunch of bad guys out there who are constantly trying to hack your precious websites, resources, digital assets. And as the last year's Verizon's DBIR report shows, 90% of the successful breaches, 90% plus of the successful breaches started out as an application vulnerability exploit. So application vulnerabilities therefore become hugely important. But in many of these organizations, there are not enough application security experts, number one, to help all of their development teams understand the importance of security, understand the vulnerabilities being found, explain the importance of those vulnerabilities, and help developers actually go fix them. Notice, and just as I say, there's a lot of sort of back and forth that is going on between developers and application security in sort of the legacy way of doing it. Number one. Number two is, you are a company of 10,000 people. You've been developing software for 15 years. It's not like you've never done AppSec, you have, but you also realize that even after doing it for 15 years, you're really not reducing your risk in a measurable, quick way. And with that lack of expertise, you just don't need technology. You also need people, expertise, people who've done this in other companies, people who can bring the recipe as to how to implement DevSecOps. So it's really sort of meat and potatoes, I guess, is the other analogy from food that jumps to my mind. Technology without process, or often said technology, people, process, all of three are important. And ShiftLeft is the technology in this partnership. Wipro is the expertise, the people in this partnership. And together we implement the process. Which allows companies to develop fast and without security issues.
Yeah, I think it's. I'm sorry, Matt. I just to tag onto that. I mean, you talked about revenue growth and competition and being able to bring products to market, and again, the client conversations that I'm having are all about that and profitability. As well. I mean, and how am I getting the best return on the investment of my, application development processes, my new IP that I'm building, et cetera. And the last thing that the business owner wants, the last thing the board wants and the audit committee that wants to talk about is how we've had to go through this additional expense to either remediate something that should have been caught in the first place, right? Or dig out from under a breach that may not have been 100% preventable. I'll never say any of them will be 100% preventable, but certainly something that could have been mitigated. The impact could have been mitigated so much more with the right program in place. So that is a clear message across the globe from all of our clients to say, yes, we want to move fast, right? Why do we invest so much money on the best brakes on a race car that you can ever have, right? And it is not to slow the thing down, right? It is ultimately to get that car around the track with a faster lap time than in competitors. If I can make up 100 feet, 50 feet, 10 feet in a braking zone on somebody and get out of that corner at the same speed, I'm going to go around that track faster. I'm going to go around this whole development process faster. I'm going to bring these products to market faster, and that's going to be a competitive advantage to me. So I think that's, to me, another reason why I'm so excited about this, because we can help not only drive on the revenue generation side, and the holy grail for security professionals forever, trying to help drive the business, right? Not just being an insurance mechanism, but we also protect that investment, right? And that's when we come down and really have conversations at the board level. That's the financial discussion that you want to have.
And we haven't even talked about powerboat racing yet, which brakes mean an entirely different thing, and I think are a lot softer than that. All right, so we got about 9 minutes left, and that's the only reason I'm coming here with my lion tamers a whip and chair on this to get this thing. I just want to see from both of you, why do companies like Wipro and ShiftLeft come together? And I know that's a big esoteric philosophical question, and you can get as loose or as tight as you want to with the answer. But you each have about 150 seconds. Manish, we'll start with you. Go. No pressure.
As a startup, your key differentiator is that you're trying to do more with fewer resources in a very focused manner. And there eventually is a time in every startup's life, as it starts to grow big and it starts to get more customers, to partner with companies like Wipro, who have far bigger established brand name, a lot more customer reach, size, proven success in helping companies accelerate whatever other initiative they might have. For example, Wipro has been leading the charge implementing digital transformation for many of such companies. And so it's really bringing best of both the worlds, best of breed technology in the case of ShiftLeft, and in case of Wipro, sort of best of breed ecosystem of folks who do this day in, day out, accelerating customers' business models.
Easy. I just want the absolute best technology to augment our programs that I can absolutely find, right? And that's it, for me, full stop. I mean, when I look at the people that we're growing and training and developing and the programs that we're building and the capabilities that we have, to me, I look at partners like Manish and I say, I want the absolute best piece of technology to augment all that. And that's what I'm about.
That's way better.
A guy who drives Trans Am's 200 miles an hour and says this is the absolute best thing. So yeah, if one of his other concerns is not crashing into a wall and dying in a fiery, just awful way, yeah, we got really dark there. So good job, Manish. Good company to have attract Tony's attention on something like that.
I hope my family's not listening to this. Jeez, yeah. I'm gonna have to go into early retirement.
Yeah. See, and you guys both, you drained the 27-foot three-pointer with 17 seconds left of the shot clock. So now we've got a fill on this. What's next? I mean, the partnership obviously is very exciting. We are rolling into, right now is kind of the dog day of the summer. Manish, you and I have talked about this already, but we got Black Hat around the corner. Who knows what the fall is going to hold? But for both companies, what are we looking at? What's the next exciting step?
Yeah, Tony, you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, for me, look, it's we've already talked about how we have some joint customers already. We'll continue to drive, collaborative solutions. We'll continue to look at, how some of our other capabilities are tangential, to what ShiftLeft does, and how we can expand the customer's aperture to looking at these types of things as well. I mean, I think when you get a client to really understand the value of a more holistic picture of what they can do to mitigate their risk on the app side, more broadly with ShiftLeft and some other things that we can do, I think that's key. I think we'll need to make sure that, I mean, we're so excited about our, the art of the possible here. I think we'll be really focused on what the storytelling, looks like, and how we can showcase the value proposition of this and bring that joint message to clients going forward. I think that's one key thing. And then the other is, for me, I've got 17 cyber fusion centers around the globe that execute managed services capabilities for our clients. And so it's continuing to augment our reference architectures, our technology stack, our processes with ShiftLeft as well, for those organizations that are not necessarily just looking for me to come in and do some advisory work or implement a program. They want the ongoing run and maintain of their program. That'll be the next sort of iteration. What's next for us as well to leverage this as part of those services.
Yeah, and in essence, whatever Tony said, we are helping from a small startup like ShiftLeft's perspective, helping his team sort of learn about ShiftLeft, learn about what we've done for our customers, for our joint customers, and how is that messaging that we can take to many other companies around the world. But look, if you're in the audience and if you're thinking, and if you are in AppSec or you're a CISO or you're someone thinking about application security, this is what we will do for you. ShiftLeft and Wipro together, we will give you a dashboard where for the first time you will be able to measure how you've been able to improve application security in a measurable way, which is reducing risk and doing it faster. This is the kind of dashboard that our customers, our CISO customers, take to their board meetings, which talks about percentage of vulnerabilities reduced, which is, of course, directly proportional to the amount of risk reduced. Mean time to repair, which is constantly should be going down, percentage of risk fixed going up, and do it in a measurable way so that every day, every month, every quarter, you're able to say, I invested this much money in ShiftLeft and Wipro together 6 months ago. What has been my return on investment? And something like that, these concrete metrics have been missing in cybersecurity. Look, I've been in cybersecurity for 20 years. I do not remember a single company where I was at where we were able to provide such measurable metrics to our customers. You detect a bunch of threats. So all you can say is, oh yeah, last 6 months, I've detected these 1 million threats. And the question is, well, how well will you do if tomorrow a new threat comes out? I don't know. I think we have the best systems in place, but I really can't tell you. But that's the difference in reducing risk or reducing vulnerabilities. It's measurable. If you get to a point, which of course very rarely do companies ever get to, but if you can say, look, I have zero risk, I have absolutely no vulnerabilities in my code, then all the bad guys can rely on is social engineering.
And that's all just invading the hearts and minds of human beings, because we know that that's incredibly difficult to do.
Correct.
Unfortunately, we got to leave that dangling as a ... because we're coming up on the hour. Manish, you earlier mentioned the magic words of shameless plugs. So I'm going to turn that over to you first. Shameless plugs for what are you up to? What is ShiftLeft up to? Where can they find all the good stuff? You also mentioned if they're looking for more information, where can they go?
Yeah, look, absolutely. You can find the company on www.shiftleft.io. We recently published this report that we call the AppSec Progress Report. Just go to the website landing page. You'll see a link to it. And you can, of course, find me on LinkedIn.
And you can. And he does actually respond. I think that's how we met in the first place. So, Tony, what about you? When you're not going 198 miles an hour in a Trans Am or a powerboat, what's happening? Where can they find you? What's happening?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, you see the web address here, wipro.com/cybersecurity. You can take a look at the capabilities that we have. They continue to evolve. Our organization, over the past 18 months, Wipro has invested over $1/3 billion into the cyber business as it relates to acquisitions, organic hiring, alliances, venture partnerships, et cetera. That's all publicly information, so I'm not issuing any secret sauce here or anything. But it is a massive organization that continues to I think improve in all aspects. And as always, as already a global leader in the managed security services space, and now as one that's scored the highest and on the strategy lens in most recent analyst reports. I think we're really proud of where we're going, and it takes great partnerships and collaborations with companies like ShiftLeft to make that happen.
Well, and that's how we know you didn't give any secret sauce, is that the chief comms officer did not drop from the ceiling Tom Cruise Mission Impossible style to be like, no.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for today. Everybody, thank you for coming back to Shifting Left on LinkedIn. As we've said, these both gentlemen, it's much cool stuff going on. If you're looking for more information about all of this stuff, you know where to go. It's wipro.com/cybersecurity. If you're looking for us, it is at ShiftLeft Inc. on Twitter, as well as LinkedIn, shiftleft.io. Follow us on all the socials, because there is a lot of cool stuff. And as we mentioned, Hacker Summer Camp right around the corner. Yes, I know July is really boring and August usually stinks too, but we can go to Vegas and we can talk about all kinds of cool stuff like that. I am Matt Stevenson. You can find me at PacMatt73. Odds are I don't know the answer to the question you're going to ask, but I know these guys. And that means I could reach out and help find you the answers. Until then, make sure that you check us out, all the cool things that are going on. Enjoy the week. We will see you next time.